All right, guys, welcome back to Cameshiareviews. We are talking about the challenge 39. This episode, I forgot about the episode in here, but the reason why I have in here Corey, what? Because this episode again had a lot to do with Corey again, but this time Corey actually. Hey, Michelle, what's up, boo boo? Corey actually who won this challenge. And the reason why I wanted to, of course, I'll do this especially after this, but I wanted to get into this situation right here because, Michelle, I'm glad you're here. While you're here, I'll talk about your part real quick. I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. So everybody was wondering why Michelle was upset because I saw he that was like, I was like, look at Michelle's face, and I looked at her happy it wasn't me, and she looked like she was mad. Well, I literally understood why Michelle was upset. Not like upset, but like wondering what was going to happen because, mind you, with this being chaos, we don't know what's going to happen. If you've been part of the challenge or watch it, and being this is such a different season, we don't know what in the world is going to happen. So, of course, with Michelle looking like that, I was like, girl, if it was me, I'd be looking like, damn, what's gonna happen is they're gonna say my name as my partner. What's up, Michelle? What's up, Mama? Thank you for coming too.
Hi.
What's up, boo boo?
You know what? I saw you were on here and I was like, let me dip in for a sec because I was crazy this episode. I know you were just talking about it, but I don't know. You're right. Like I've been on enough seasons of the challenge and Survivor to know that you just don't know. And it's you just have to expect the unexpected, and maybe I over expected the unexpected, but it's better to over expect than to under expect. And I shouldn't have been the victim in the whole thing. I shouldn't have played the victim, but I definitely felt like, well, I have to be prepared in case this is a scenario that I have to deal with.
I don't think you was being a victim. To me, because I'm not gonna lie, when they first said it, I was like, "Oh my God, is she going to?" I did think that. Like, I don't. Nobody knew, and I knew if we didn't know as an audience, I knew you guys knew less. So I'm not gonna lie. When that happened, I was like, "Oh shit, are they gonna call Michelle down there?" So I literally thought that. So no, I don't agree. No, you weren't playing the victim. I just think that you're being, to me, this season, and I might be wrong, Michelle, I feel like you're being so strategic. Like the way you're moving compared to the last few seasons. I feel like they looked at you differently in the other challenges. I feel like this challenge, you really are just talking your shit. Like last episode I talked about, when you on the mic and all the cars was everywhere, you literally was getting everybody together. Like it was a moment. I was like, finally, y'all get to see what we all talk about. Michelle is the shit. Y'all just late to the party. So I don't know. I don't.
You know what it was having come into this season. Because I just came from, in my opinion, one of the most chaotic seasons I've done. Now I've done 6 seasons on USA too. I literally was like, if I can handle that, and that was 2 weeks ago when I came into this show, I had said no, prior to coming on. They had asked me while I was still on USA two. And I was like, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can tolerate it. The only way that I mentally came into the space of being able to do it was kind of just being like, you know what? I'm going to care a little bit less. And I'm not going to take it as personal as I always do and whatever. Obviously, we saw that manifest into paranoia this episode. But in general, I was like, I'm going to try to go back to the bare bones of being like, I'm going to try to have fun. I'm going to try to be logical, not play with my emotions as much. And I really was trying to lean into that. And I think that is more strategic play than I think we're going to see, and we have seen more strategic Michelle than emotional Michelle. And obviously, this episode I get a little bit blinded because of my relationship with Corey and because of the unknown. Whenever I get put in a situation where I don't know what's going on, I tend to panic. I like control. So I think now that we understand a little bit more of the format of chaos, things, I'll kind of go back into that zone of like strategy mindset. But going into a new phase of this game where we don't know what's going to happen, plus the factor of me being partnered with somebody who then is put in by somebody who I consider probably like my number one, two, three on this cast, I kind of felt like obviously like emotionally uncertain of what my future and my path looked like. But still, I don't think that I handled it correctly. But that's on par for me. When I'm emotional, it's irrational. And I was trying to go back to my rational mindset this season. And I think I lost this episode a bit.
I can understand what you're saying about losing it because in the beginning, when you first started getting upset, I was like, why is she getting upset? But Michelle, when you actually said why, that's when I was like, you know what? Actually, I get why she got upset. You didn't get too upset. I think your face is like mine. I could be mad and it's not a big deal, but because of my frown, people think it's a disaster. Because you have this frown on your face like I have once I think something's wrong. Now with the core situation, I want to think about that. This is the second episode where I feel like Corey has built these relationships with you ladies, you queens, and it seems like he is kind of going back a bit. It was with T the other episode, now with you and then S off. Now, I'm not sure, and I get the Survivor game. You go in the game, you'll play, you're a competitor, you want to win. I get it. But at the same time, you gotta be careful being consistently burning people you're close to. It's gonna look bad. Do you not? I mean, do you not agree with that part, or what do you think about
I
that?
mean, I am somebody who has fallen victim to what Corey's experiencing right now. I mean, if we look at my game on Ride or Dies, me and Jay were winning, and if we weren't winning, then we probably wouldn't have to show our cards and go against people. We were kind of coasting before that. And with winning also comes losing and exposing some things about yourself. And the truth was, I mean, Corey said it as well, like a lot of people did not know where Asaf kind of stood. That's why I was a little bit uncertain even being partners with him. But what people weren't privy to that I slightly was that obviously his relationship with Jay, and that brought him a little bit closer into the fold. So it's it's tough because Jay, Nerese, myself kind of knew how close Asaf was in the situation, but he was a question mark for a lot of people because he was kind of playing double agent with the UK people and he didn't have a lot of close ties. So I understand both perspectives. I don't exactly know, you know, Corey said it in this episode, I've known you for 2 weeks. I don't know what their actual relationship was like. I was so blinded by my own peril that I was just kind of like, oh my God, am I going in? And I wasn't, you know, I wasn't really thinking about all the facets. But that's the interesting part is that when you're playing the game, you really only see it from your own really limited, unique perspective of people you're working with, the information that you're given, and we're not really realizing that there are all of these other factors coming into play and all of the other relationship dynamics as well. So I think that's, you know, that's uh, obviously what Corey had to navigate with him winning.
Even with him winning, it's just the relationship part, and I get, like I said, the strategic part you were saying as well. And I like how you're saying that you kind of, like I said, you're moving differently in this season compared to the other seasons. But emotion has come into play, and even with Corey being the beast, I'm not going to hate on that. I just feel like that because of course I'm not there, I've experienced that, but with the personal relationship, you cannot burn them all. Like who are you going to have at the end? That's all I'm saying about that. I just feel like Corey is he's putting himself into a corner where it gets to the point where he really needs those strong relationships. He's not going to have them because he burned them all. And I felt like Michelle in this episode, he, you know, even though it was a big deal, like this whole, like you said, the 2 weeks thing, like I didn't even know it was that deep with him and Asaf. So how is Asaf seeing it as we're a deep relationship? Not, I'm sorry, friendship, but he's saying it was known for 2 weeks. Why would one person
Yeah.
see it one way? You know what I'm saying?
And you know what? Part part of part of what we're also seeing is that we don't know where the other relationships stand. So if we see Asaf acting like Corey, you know, um, stole his firstborn, then we're thinking, oh my God, Corey really betrayed somebody who he's so close to because Asaf feels so burned. Why would he feel so burned if they weren't that close? So then it makes you question the other relationships, being like, oh, maybe we weren't fully privy to the dynamics of their own situation. Whereas in Corey's mind, it might have just been, oh, you know what? We've known each other 2 weeks. We connect, but you're not my priority. Whereas in Asaf's mind, it might have been like, oh my God, you're my top priority. We were safe. What are you doing? You know what I mean? So but when we see it from the sidelines, we're seeing, well, Asaf would only blow up like this if they were very, very close. So that makes him look more questionable than he is. Um, but yeah, it's really tricky because a lot of us have played together before, a lot of us haven't. I'm kind of straddling too. I'm straddling Ride or Dies, and I'm straddling Spies, Lies, and Allies. So I'm this like really definitive line of international versus American is not so definitive for me personally. I'm obviously working with people from both, so it's a complicated mess. And when you even see Nerys saying who she's working with, I mean, that's 99% of the house, you know? It's just, how can you be working with that many people? You're bound to betray somebody. And I think Corey caught that end of this when Raven didn't want to say Kieran's name and they couldn't say James's name because he's tied to Mariah. And so everybody's kind of tied to somebody. You're going to piss somebody off. So how do you come off not looking sneaky? And I think that this is the portion of the game that we're going to end up navigating. People are going to be hurt.
Well, at the end of the day, I do feel like that you have a lot of experience. Like you were saying before, you even got thrown in with Jordan. I feel like tonight, a lot of people there were kind of like, oh, I'm just being honest. When Jordan came in and swept it up, I mean, just being real, he came in and swept it the fuck up. And I know everybody was just kind of like, damn. Because even I was like, when Jordan was kept stopping back from, I was like, he's up to something. So when you said it, literally my mom was thinking, oh, Jordan's going to do something. He's not going to just do all this. Because everybody was like, oh, he's not going to. I was like, nah, Jordan's gonna win this, and he's gonna make a lesson like he always does. So when you said it, I was right there with you. My co-host just came in, Sheena. Baby, do you want to weigh in on this topic? Because this episode was a good episode. Sheena?
Sorry,
Sheena? Oh.
I had to unlock my phone. I want to say is that I think Corey's playing a terrible game. He's horrible socially, and I'm glad that Asif stayed because he really didn't have to do all that. And I don't think Asif was making it up. I don't think he was making up the connection that they had. I think he genuinely thought he was safe. And if there's only going to be one winner, you chose somebody who likely you could beat in a final to get rid of. That doesn't make any sense. So I just want to say I think Corey is playing a horrible game socially and strategically.
I think the only complication here is that like it wasn't just him making that vote, like, right? Like Raven was also, and Raven's number one girl is Mariah, who's tied to James. So she is going to draw a hard line at James. And, you know, her number one guy is Kieran at this point, even though he voted her in last time. I mean, that's on Raven. But how can Corey can't veto two people that she has said that she'll protect. We see that he wants to protect Callum, he wants to protect Jay, and he said somebody else. I forget. Maybe it was Ed or somebody like that. And so now they're working in this tandem, and I think that this is the tricky part of the game that we're going to start to navigate. Is these random draws are now. Two people on opposite sides of things where they might have two totally different intentions. And I think it's a process of elimination, which is how Asaf kind of got put as the option here. And it's unfortunate. I was fucking pissed off, obviously, but we're also thinking at that point, well, it could be partners. So then if you say somebody, what about their partner too? So that was all already considered. That's why I was so mad at Corey, is because we had said prior to whoever won, we were like, oh, we have to worry about the partner dynamic. So it was kind of known. And that makes it even trickier as well.
Okay, so let me respond to that because I didn't think you were going to respond to what I said. So, number one, I stand on everything I just said. That's number one. Number two, TJ said it was going to be a guy's day. So, was there anything based in fact on what he said that made y'all think, okay, we need to consider partners, or that was just y'all being paranoid? Because he never said anything about women.
So I think that, well, definitely paranoia was obviously at play, especially with myself. And I definitely take full accountability of that. But there's a certain amount of this game that you tend to start to think like, well, we're in the chaos portion. We don't actually know the format. We don't really know, you know, it's easy for him to be like a guy, but we're all talking about it like a guy and the girl that they're linked to, or a girl and the guy that they're linked to. That's how we're thinking of everything. If you look at every single confessional conversation, it's like, oh, I'm good because my partner's good socially. That's how we were viewing it. And that's how we were talking about it. And when he said, you're the only pair safe, we're all like, okay, pair. So he said male. And it's obvious to just think, okay, well, let's just go with male. But because we're in chaos, because we don't know the format, that's when you start to spiral a little bit. And you try to think up every single thing that could happen. We don't know that mercenaries are coming in. We don't know vets are coming in. We honestly think that they're coming in during Conquest because we think Conquest, you beat a champion. And we think that that's the final stage. So we don't know what chaos looks like. So we're just expecting the unexpected at this point.
Oh, so when the timer hit, I'm sorry, Mama. So when the timer hit 0, you guys did not know that a vet was coming in
We
with
did
the
not
time.
know. No, we did not know a vet was coming in until Jordan came in. We had no idea. We definitely knew that vets were coming in based on rumors that were being spread. But based on the timeline also that we had heard, we had heard some people were coming in, and we heard some, potentially tentative dates they were coming in. It seemed like later in the season. So we were not fully like aware to the fact that it was about to be us against a champion right then and there. I thought that was going to come potentially in the conquest portion of the game, not in chaos.
Sheena.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say, as was alluded to earlier, like, this isn't the Babysitters Club. We're not here to be best friends. We're competing for money. So I would have said James's name, and I would have said to Mariah, I don't think you're going in. Don't worry about it. And if you go in, I'm sorry, girl. That's what I would have done. You need to get people you can't beat in a final out of the house. Like, I'm here to win money. I'm not here to be friends with you. I'll be friends with you after the show. Like, people don't play a cutthroat enough game, and I can't stand that. Like, I'll win the money and take you out to dinner. Like, I'm not here to braid people's hair.
The complicated thing is that people are anticipating, first off, what we're realizing is that 2 people are going in and 1 person is going to come back. Obviously, there's consequences with that. And also, James was actually, I think, with maybe Nerys or somebody this episode, like partner wise. It was more that Mariah was in a relationship with him, and she very firmly drew a line like, James is my number 1 guy here. And, if you screw him, you're taking away like a number for me. So obviously, yes, it's easier said than done to say, like, you know what, I'll take you out for breakfast after. But when you're in the moment, you're like, how do I do the least amount of damage? And you can't always anticipate that on the spot. I think, especially with the factors of partners, and how are you not going to piss off their partner? And then how are you not going to piss off everybody in our alliance? And then how are you not going to piss off, the person who also won with me, who has people that they're protecting? And then we throw out names, and then what if those names, we don't choose them, and that gets back to them that we pitched that name? So there's like a lot of factors at play when making those decisions. And, I do agree that you just have to suck it up and be like, fuck it. Like, fuck it, get a backbone. And that's what I'm realizing in this game as the more I play. But it is hard when you're like a people pleaser and you're kind of struggling through it. It can be difficult.
Okay,
Well,
so this is the last thing I'm going to say, because obviously we're going to agree to disagree. I'm not a people pleaser. That's not a problem I have. Number 2, Mariah deciding to get into a relationship has nothing to do with me. I'm here to compete for money, girl. Like, sorry that you wanted to get booed up. I don't think I can beat him in a final. You can't beat him in a final either. You can have money and you can have your relationship later. Like, everybody trying to be friends with everybody, it's not going to work, because then you're going to have to throw challenges because you can't win, because you can't put anybody in. You have to have some enemies in the house. Like, that's how these games work. Like, it wouldn't be an issue for me. It wouldn't be a problem for me. I'm throwing you in. I can't beat you in a final. That's it. It's done.
I agree. And you know what? You said agree to disagree, but the truth is what you just said rings really true for me, right? Like, you have to have enemies in this house. And so when people wrong you in a way by throwing you under the bus or choosing your partner or going for somebody who you're booed up with, whatever, that gives you a target, that gives you an enemy. And sometimes that's all that you need for it to be a catalyst to say somebody's name. We're looking for reasons anywhere when you're friends with everybody. So in some ways you can be hurt by somebody and maybe it just comes off as hurt, or maybe you're looking for it to justify something that you're going to do down the line. It's not as like, I would say it comes off really simple, but it's actually a really complicated situation when you think about how to navigate it, because you have to think about tomorrow as well.
For me, when I've always watched this game, but even before I became a blogger, I've always said, and I told you this, Michelle, too, that I think I would be a ruthless game player. And, not saying I think I wouldn't have much emotion because I would have such a goal and I'm an ambitious person. Because I feel like if I got too much into the friendship and the relationships of it all, it would weigh me down. I would get caught up in it. Now, I do feel like there's got to be a line where you're like, I have my alliances, because you have to have something. You have to have somebody that has your back. Even you're out there just being ruthless, you got to have somebody that has the ear to the ground to tell you, hey, girl, you know what? I know you pissed at everybody, but they're going to vote you out or whatever. Something. I feel like you have to have that. So I feel like it has to be some kind of balance. Um, as far as being so ruthless and things, I do believe I would play that way. If I'm winning everything, I don't give a shit. Y'all don't have to like me. I've won every time. So I'm gonna put you in, out, da da da. And at the end of the day, I also agree with what she was saying. I'm not trying to keep you in the game if you're bigger than me, better than me, faster than me. If I have the opportunity to get you out, I'm gonna get you out. I had said for years, I felt like John Bananas won, not just because he was good, but because people literally let him win. They would literally just not put him in in the eliminations for years. Like the earlier shows you watch him and I did, he literally would be like 3, 4, 5 competitions in and not be in, put it in, and then wonder why. Oh, he wins every time. So I don't know. I really feel like the women are really strong. And the past 3, 4, 5 seasons have been kicking them a lot of ass, and I feel like Michelle, you are moving differently. And today, I feel like your emotion was on your face. If you weren't showing your emotion, nobody would have known. You could have kept the same emotion that you have, just not showing it on your face. They wouldn't have known anything at all. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you had the right to feel how you felt. People just felt the way, and they were just like, you're being paranoid. What's the big deal? Nothing's happening. You're just looking at like, I'm looking at everything. Danielle, I'm about to add you up. Billy already did. So I wanted to know how you felt about. So you felt like Corey's game. Hold on, Danielle. But you felt like Corey's game. You've been there before, but do you feel like Corey played the right play? Because he had to get a win. I will admit that his win today was good. Nobody else did as good as him and Raven. Um, it was a good win. But do you feel like the choices that he made was good?
I mean, first off, they did amazing in that
Yes, they
challenge.
did.
They fucking absolutely blew us all out of the water. In fact, we were embarrassing the rest of us. Although I will say I went first, so I'm just gonna say going first in a situation like that, not great. Not the easiest. You sometimes need to see how other people play. But to be honest with you, I'm not the strongest in challenges in general, which is also why sometimes I play like a bit like a pussy. Maybe I don't fully believe in like my capabilities, which again, you guys talk about playing ruthless and stuff. I think that that's a lot of times I'm like, oh, that's for like a player like Jordan or Laurel. And maybe that's part of my own insecurity where I'm like, can I really play ruthless if I don't really have the chops to back it up? So that's my own, that's my own, I'm paying for my therapist beach house on that, that topic probably. But no, but I think that as far as his decision, it's not a decision I would have made. I think that there was already conversations prior to him and Raven getting chosen about it potentially being partners. Um, so it makes it tricky. It makes it tricky. I think he was thinking of it just as a guy's thing, and by looking at it like that, he may not know who Asaf was connected to, and maybe that made sense to him. For me personally, if we're talking about you want to talk about getting the biggest, strongest guy out that you don't want to run a final with, like you guys are looking at James like he's that person, but watching James go against Chauncey, to me, he wasn't that person. I see Kieran every single day take the leadership role, dominate things. He's fast, he's quick, he's agile, he's smart. He fits every single box, as does Ed, by the way. And I think that those are bigger, and Horacio for that matter, and Jay. I think that those and Maurice, there's a lot of people in the game who have like kind of a well-rounded package, and those are the people that would be the bigger threats than an Asaf, in my opinion. So it's really hard to say. Sometimes the path of least resistance is the one that you choose, and I think that that's what Corey did in this situation. Whether or not it was right, TBD. I don't know.
Danielle, welcome. You have the floor,
Hey,
baby.
thanks, guys. Hey, Michelle. Hey, everybody. From North Jersey, by the way. Two things. One, silly. Michelle, do you want the silly one first or the more game one first?
Oh, Jersey. Okay. Well, I'll do silly first because if I know Jersey, you're gonna hit me like with a hard game one. So I'll go silly.
Yeah, being in sports media, you're probably right about that. But all right, so the silly one is like I've watched the show for a really long time. I'm sure you have too, growing up. But what happened to like all like the party scenes and stuff? Like these dumb club scenes are like stupid. Like I miss like the days where they showed more of like the partying inside the house. Why did they start to edit all that stuff out? Do you know?
From my experience, it just doesn't really happen
Really?
anymore, to be honest with you. Like, so I don't know what I am and what I'm not allowed to say, but we're basically given a certain Corey is here. Corey, just know, by the way, I've had your back for as much as I possibly could in this. I'm so happy to have you here because we can dual team this, or maybe I'll just pass it over to you. But um, I feel like, for the most part, what's interesting is that when I was on USA, we basically had no limits to what we were able to drink. We had bottles of wine out on the table at all times. I love that. We had beer in the fridge at all times, and we never really went over the limit. But you do see us have a little bit of fun. On this season, they definitely limit our intake. And when also after every single challenge, we have to go to the club scene. So the challenges are really, really long. We're exhausted. We have an hour to get ready and
And we
shower.
have to pay for our
Sometimes,
drinks. That's the part that,
yeah,
yeah, we
yeah,
have.
Oh,
that's what I'm
hell
trying. That's what I
no.
was kind of
Oh,
trying to
hell no.
say.
Welcome, Corey. Welcome to my space, Corey. Welcome, welcome, baby. Welcome.
So
Hey,
we
hey,
get
hey.
we get basically 2 drink tickets, and then we're allowed to pay for our drinks beyond that, which is no problem. But then they also do have a limit on like maybe 3 or 4 drinks. They count your drinks, so there's a cap for us and what we're able to kind of do. After a day where we're in challenges all day, we're exhausted. A lot of the times, half of us don't want to be there. We're tense, and so we're just not in a place where we're really like able to let loose the way that traditionally we'd want to. And to be honest with you, a lot of us are partiers, so that's difficult for us. We're sitting there waiting for our drinks and throwing tantrums when we're not able to get them. Just know
And
that
the
I'm one of
drinks are
those
never as
people.
strong as the drinks you would get at home. So it's like you
Yeah.
get 2 drinks and it's probably like half of the amount of alcohol you're used to.
Yeah, so we're just like
Wow.
not able to have like the sort of belligerent fun that I think would end in a noodle fight or, whatever. It's just not the same as it used to be. I think it's more now competitive heavy than it is like fun. And I think that that's a piece that's missing, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, I
So,
totally agree with you. And then the game sort of question is like, I know everybody's saying that, oh, they would be like the tough competitor and I'm going to get you out and stuff. But like Michelle or Corey, both of you, can you kind of give a perspective to everybody too? It's like, see, I don't know if I would do that. Like now at my own house, yeah, I'd be like that. But like, you got to live with these people. Like you have to get on a bus and go back with these people. And can you give maybe a perspective on that and how it affects how you vote and et cetera, things like that? And thank you. I'll hang up and listen here.
Oh my God. Wait, Michelle, can I answer this?
Take it away, baby. I've been talking these people's ear off, so they're sick of me.
Oh, okay. So I think I got most of your question, Danielle, but it kind of cut out. But it is so difficult. And so I think like the reason why you guys see me choose a soft today is because if I chose any other guy, their amount of people that would have been pissed at me that are likely going to win challenges in the future is very fucking high. If I said James, Callum, or Kieran, first off, Michelle wouldn't let me say Callum. But if I did, I have the entire international side of the house coming after me, and there's some big threats there that could probably like vote me in. And then on the other side, it's like, well, I'm not going to say Jay. I'm not going to say all these people. And just by process of elimination, I ended up saying a soft. But like those decisions, like you want to shoot big, but then if you shoot too big too early, it's just like, well, if I'm the first guy that calls out a UK guy, every single UK person is going to come after me in the next challenge. And so you kind of have to find somewhere in the middle that's hopefully safe. And I thought soft's going to be safe, but clearly that was not a safe choice for me. But it is the most difficult thing you can imagine.
Yeah, you're hedging your bets, and the truth is that you're going to get backlash from somebody in some way. You're not going to come out unscathed, and that is the blessing and the curse of winning, which I experienced last season. And obviously, the repercussions of that. You kind of
The fact that so I said one name and I had repercussions. You were saying like six names like twice in a
I was
row.
saying
I don't know.
8 names. I said
I
half the
don't
house
know
at
how
one
you.
point.
I don't know
I
how
said
you
half
did
the
that.
house. It was crazy. I was like, okay, enemy number one. But also, like, I think that there's a certain amount. I'm sorry, I forget the co-host's name, but she had said, like, just be badass, say the names, and stuff like whatever. And that's something that I wish that I did. Like you said, I've only known you for 2 weeks. Like you fought for your point and your perspective. I don't do that. I kind of shy away from it. So I think you just have to stand on your choice and own it, and that's the best thing that you can do in a situation. You have to believe in the choice that you make, because you can't falter on it once you say it.
Oh, I can teach you to be just as stubborn as me if you want, but it doesn't always work out in my favor.
Okay, so Corey, I have a question for you. So speaking of that,
Yeah.
because you did choose S off, so you said the 2 weeks. So that just pretty much meant what out of everybody, were you guys did he feel you guys were close and you in your mind you guys weren't close? What was the disconnect with that part?
So I yes, it was 2 weeks. I met Asaf in the airport, so I didn't know him before coming into the season, and that's compared to people like Michelle and Emmanuel that I had known, and Berna I'd known for 2 years. I did meet Jay a year ago. Like we hung out in LA, obviously not very much, but you go down the line, and like I would not have considered Asaf my best friend. We talked a lot in the house, but I didn't like he was in my alliance because he was best friends with Jay, who was best friends with Michelle. And so like I was definitely caught off guard when he said, "I'm your best friend." And there's like that scene in the kitchen where we're talking. He's like, "Oh, Corey, people don't love each other like we love each other." Like I didn't agree, but like in that moment, I'm not going to say no because then I might be pushing someone away that is going to have my back. So it's like I don't know. How much do you let people think that they are close to you versus like do you put up a wall? And I think that's something I learned this season. It's like I despite me being friends with a lot of people, like I think there's blurred lines and like I don't know, I have to figure out how to handle that. And I don't think I handle it well because I do think I'm friends with people and sometimes they think they're closer to me than I think I'm to them. Um and it's very tough. Like I don't know, like the next time around if I don't know how to balance that and you're going to see me struggle with that this whole entire fucking season.
Well, even like okay, I have to give it to you, Corey. Like the whole thing with the big T, like that situation threw me. I even tagged you in it. I don't know if you got mad at me or not. I thought I was following you. All of a sudden, I see you weren't following me. I said, "Did you remove me?" I said, "'Cause I did tag you in the post." I was like, "Hello, what happened?" I was like,
Oh, I was
"Did
saying
you
I
hear
don't
me?"
I don't think you removed me, but or whatever. But
No, no,
so
no,
yeah,
no, no, no.
what was the
No, no. My thing was okay because I feel like you're playing hard in the paint this season. I do, and I feel like if you're gonna play hard in the paint and that's a game move, I respect it. But the whole thing with the Big T, I was confused because in the episode you were very supportive of Big T, and then the whole separation with, oh, you guys, I'm just playing. Yeah, I really ain't cool. I was just trying to figure out what was that strategic, or are you just coming in where it's like no holds barred, I don't give a shit. I'm trying to get to the coin. I'm just trying to figure out is that just a strategic? Is this game? Was you just seem
you
different
know,
than previous game
I
moves?
think I think my approach changed every single day in terms of like how cutthroat I could be versus like but I can't say too much because the things that we're referring to and the things that have been teased in the episodes has not aired yet. And I think some people may understand the decisions I make, and some people won't. But at the time, I was making decisions that I thought were best for me and myself in the game and my broader alliance. And unfortunately, working for my alliance meant that sometimes I wasn't working for other people. But it has nothing to do with whether or not I support people as people. But I think it's hard for people. Like it's hard for me. It's hard for everybody to figure out how do you define the lines of we're playing a game versus I like you as a person or don't like you as a person. And like I think one of the beauties of the season is we're all fucking new at this. Most of us haven't made it that far and so you're going to see a lot of people making mistakes because they've never been in those positions before. And, we'll see. I don't know. We'll talk about this again once the episode airs and I can actually talk about everything.
Well, first of all, shout out to you and thank you for responding to that. I just followed you. Please follow me back. I learned a
Oh,
lot from
totally.
Michelle. Michelle, when she first came, I mean, I'm a blogger, but when I first started doing these spaces, Michelle came to the space hot and heavy. It was a crazy episode. I remember it was insane. I think we kind of we didn't get into it, but it was like, but like after the episode, in interviewing her, and she's been my boo ever since. It's so crazy, but that's that's how it
Yeah,
works out.
we got
Yeah, and
into
here's
it,
the
bro. I was so defensive, but the truth is that you are defensive of your actions. It's difficult because everything Corey says, I really like resonate with because he's navigating a portion of like a power perspective. He said it's his first daily win. And, last season when I had gotten into it with you, and I think Cinco is on here, and
Yeah, he was.
I felt really, really defensive because it was my first time in a power position and I had to nominate half the house. And, you're trying to think of every single avenue and strategize what's the least amount of blowback. And in retrospect, you look back and you're like, oh God, coulda, woulda, shoulda. I see now the way that Nerys is drawing her battle lines and Asaf's drawing his. And if you look, like Big T has her list of 15 people that she's working with, and you're trying to cross check and figure out who's with who, and it's just not that clear when you're actually in it. So you're making decisions on the limited information that you have, the emotions that you're feeling, and it's not always right, but you just have to go with your gut and then deal with the consequences of it. And so it's, me and Corey definitely play fairly emotional. And I don't think that there is anything wrong with that. We get a lot of hate for it, but ultimately you just have to go with your gut and your play with your emotions to a degree, because I think that your emotions are probably telling you what is real and what's not for the most part.
I love that. I love the passion because being emotional also it means passion. So I don't think anything is wrong with it. Day, you had your hand up, baby. What you got to say?
Hey, Michelle. I'm your biggest fan from South Jersey, but I do want to ask you one question. So, are you going to do another season? And if so, how are you going to prepare for it? Are you going to be working out? And are you going to be working on your endurance? Because I know you kind of had trouble with that on USA too.
Day, another Jersey. This is a Jersey heavy crew here. So to be honest with you, I guess I'll be working out if I go on another season. Right now, I just did back-to-back seasons. So, and like the day that I got home from this, it was like USA was airing, and then that finished, and then this is airing. So I feel a little bit emotionally drawn. I've obviously created a lot of enemies in my mere short 4 seasons of the challenge. So I'm definitely drained right now. That being said, to be honest with you, I am more of an old school. I know this sounds crazy because I'm on a competition show, but I like to party. I like to have fun. I've never been somebody who hits the gym at 5 a.m. or on Thanksgiving does a turkey trot. I'm out there doing mimosas at brunch. Like, that's not me. And I think I would probably do better on a season that's like partying and fun and hooking up and whatever. I probably should hit the gym and run and lift weights and be buff and do all of that stuff. And that's what you should do to prep. But I like having fun. I know I should. I'll hit the gym maybe, but it's just I can't help it. I can't help that I am who I am.
I want you to look like Jenny West by next season. Then you,
Honey, I would love to look like Jenny West from next season, but I wouldn't even
I
know
want
where
to
to
look like
begin to do
Jenny.
something like
What the
that.
hell?
I wasn't ready. Chef, Betty Energy, what's going on, baby? What you got to say?
Hey, thanks for letting me be a speaker tonight. My question is for like Michelle and Corey. Like, it's not related to the season, it's kind of just like a silly question. But what are your thoughts on Nani Gonzalez? And do you guys consider her friends? Because, like, she's my favorite. And, like, anybody who likes Nani, I'm a fan of. So, yeah, like, what's your thoughts on Nani Gonzalez?
I guess I can lead here since I have had obviously history with her on both of my seasons prior to this. I love Nani. That's why I was so upset when she had nominated me last time. It was quite an overreaction on my part, but I had a very traumatic incident happen with my brother on my first season. And then she had this very traumatic incident with her mother at the reunion of our second season. So I kind of always bonded with her over like this shared trauma, which is why I was so caught off guard when she had voted me in. But after that, I mean, obviously,
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
then I voted her in. It was back and forth. It's been a crazy journey for me and Nani, but I love her. I feel like maybe I hear she plays very emotional. She hooks up with a lot of people, has fun, does crazy shit. So maybe I'm just following her in her footsteps. And hey, if I can have anybody lead the path for me, I would love for it to be Nani. So I adore her. I love Casey. I'm excited for them. So only love for Nan.
Period.
Yeah, and I've only done one season with her. I hung out with her like once or twice outside of the show. I wish I was closer to Nani, but she's always been amazing to me. She's been very sweet. We've DM'd back and forth. I grew up watching her. Like I've been watching the show for a while, so like it was really crazy to meet her on Spies, Lies, and Allies and the rest of the crew. And I'm really bummed that she hasn't gotten a win yet. I think she's somebody who like has worked really
She
hard and has
won
gotten
last
close.
season.
And you said Nani?
Yeah, Nani won last season.
She won what?
She won Ride or Dies. Do none of you guys remember that?
Okay. Well, besides that season, I wish she can get a win, but no, nothing but love for Nani, and I love Casey too. They're like I
I
love
didn't
them
hear
as
what
a
you said.
couple.
Okay.
So, but yeah,
I'm dying over the delusion that she won.
yeah. I was,
Look, I'm Michelle. I'm
sat
just
there.
like
I
was
love
like,
it. I love it. Diehard. I need a diehard fan like you that just convinces
I went on
everybody that
mute.
I also won this season.
No, like Nani like technically won Free Agents too, because like I don't know if you're like on Reddit or stuff. The streets are saying production accidentally mixed up Laurel and Nani's times, so Nani technically won Free Agents too.
Hey, if I could take it away from Laurel, if I could take it away from Laurel and give it to Nani, I would, but nah.
I'm on Reddit, but I still don't think that counts or anything. So I wanted to, before I go to you, Miguel, and I want to ask if Sheena had anything to say. I want to ask Michelle and Corey a question about Jordan coming in. Now I know Michelle knows Jordan, but I want to ask Corey. So when like Jordan came in, like what were your thoughts, especially when he was like stopping in the middle of the whole thing? It was just like I was dying, I was gagging. How
Yeah,
did you feel?
so partly, every like for as long as we're in chaos, my goal is I want to win because I know these people are gonna throw me into elimination. So honestly, I was very fucking happy to see Jordan because I knew he was probably gonna beat someone that wasn't me, and I was very happy that I won. Um, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I want to use well, I guess I can't. Oh, whatever. I want to use the vets as the champs as like weapons to get rid of people that I don't want there. So like that was my game plan. I was so excited to see Jordan. He's so good at everything and better someone else than me. So that's really my little spiel on that. And I loved seeing Jordan. I've never seen him compete before. I've obviously watched the show and seen him do killer shit, and it was nice. Like, Kieran was a beast, and I don't know who would have beaten Kieran if not for Jordan. So I'm really glad Jordan got the work done. I mean, I don't know what to say.
Sheena, do you have anything you want to say before I went to Miguel? I'm gagging over you, Corey. I was like, damn, weapons, okay.
I mean, look, if you guys want me to be as honest as I can be, like that's the way that I saw the vets, or I keep saying vets, but we're whatever. I guess we're not real vets, but the champs, like the champs,
not,
the champs are there for us to use as tools.
I
Like,
get that.
I don't
Oh my
know.
God. It's not that y'all are not okay. This is where I said it in my videos and everything. I said, you guys to me, even with like the Olivia's who wasn't a champ, I said, you guys are literally the new champs. Like the Gen X, new generation, whatever. I said, you guys are new things coming that the vets literally are either hurt or injured or just kind of out the way. And production knew we gotta like bring new people in because we're running out of vets. And so then here comes this, and I thought it was cool because the vets went through a different process of just coming through the show. For them to put y'all through all this, I thought was cool, but it just had me dying because I didn't thought of it that way. It's actually smart.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
It's really smart.
Let me tell you that now we pivot into a very also tricky part of the game for me personally, because a lot of these people have never played with a Laurel, and a lot of people haven't played with a Jordan, whatever, or whatever it is. Like, I've wronged a lot of the vets already in my very short span of time, and a lot of champs in my very short span of time on these shows. So now I am coming in feeling like, okay, Colleen hasn't done anybody wrong. So, or Horacio, whoever it is. And so some of these people I feel like don't have anything to worry about in this particular phase. And now I'm fucking sweating because I'm seeing Jordan come in and I'm like, where Jordan comes, the rest will follow. And what does that mean for us?
Yeah, that's true. It also opens up we just found out, like, I put in a soft and now there's a draw and a soft didn't go in. So it's like now the game is so shifted because, like, you go out on a limb to say someone's name if you win, and then that person may not even go in and compete. And it's like you want to win for the safety, but no matter what, you're putting a target on your back. And it's they definitely shifted the game at the perfect time because I don't think any of us were prepared, and especially me. Like when me and Raven won, I was like, "Oh, cool! I'm safe. This is amazing. Let me go chill while everybody else deals with drama." And then somehow I'm in the middle of it, and Asaf is now coming back, and he's definitely not happy with me. So there's so much risk that's added in chaos that we didn't have in control.
I love it because it's called chaos. Sheena.
Yeah, I was just going to say it is a great strategy to use the champs that are coming in to get out people that you want to go home, which it's kind of unfortunate that you didn't just go along with Raven when she said Kieran, because instead you ended up saying Asif.
Well, it
You
was the
didn't go.
opposite. I wanted to say Kieran. He was the name that I went in wanting to say, but she was unwilling to budge because they were hooking up at the time.
Okay, so you didn't say Kieran. You said Asif. You picked a fight with him in front of everybody in a social game. You fought with him. He didn't go in, he stayed. And now you have an enemy that stayed. So it kind of
Yeah.
sucks that it worked out that way. And you said, like, you didn't handle it well. And I'm going to be honest with you, you did it. Because what you should have said is what you just said here is, listen, if I went after, one of the UK guys, they're all going to come after me. I can't go after, Kieran, because that's not what Raven wanted. So what I was left with is you. And I'm sorry that you feel like I betrayed you, but that's what I was left with. Like, it didn't have to blow up into what it is, because that politics is part of the game as well. Like, social game is part of the game, politics is part of the game, strategy is part of the game, your physical ability is part of the game. Like, you have to do all of that. So it's just unfortunate that you did that in front of everybody, because now you hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Now you look distrustworthy to everybody else because he's saying, "Oh, you're my best friend," and you stabbed me in the back, even though you didn't feel that way. And then you fought with him in front of everybody. So also people are going to think, like, okay, if he says my name and I get mad, is he going to fight with me in front of everybody? Like, that part, you didn't have to play that way.
But in fairness, like, Asaf actually fought with Corey, and it wasn't Corey really fighting with Asaf. Asaf kind of fought with Corey. Corey was kind of defending himself in the situation, and there's a lot of things that aren't shown. Corey did explain the dynamic of Raven protecting Kieran, and the dynamics of why James wasn't targeted, and we were privy to a certain amount of the conversation that was being had between him and Raven. They were protecting two different groups of people, and it was process of elimination. Now, Asaf was upset about that. Asaf popped off. Corey did what he needed to do to defend himself in that moment. But when all of that, when we put water on the fire and we stepped back, we did peek under the curtain to try to understand why they made the decision that they made, and we realized that there's two parties there. Corey wanted Kieran. Raven didn't want to say Kieran, so Kieran's out. Corey might have wanted James or whatever. I think he's also friends with James, so he probably wasn't pitching James, but Raven's connected to Mariah, who's connected to James. So this is more of it's a web, and it might come off that Corey was confrontational, but the truth is that he was really in defense mode because Asaf was confrontational. And when your back is against the wall and you just won, you had to make a decision, and somebody's yelling at you for it, then you either yell back, you apologize. There's obviously a social dynamic, but you just said like earlier that you would just bulldoze and stand on what you needed to do, and I think that's what Corey did. So it's like, what really is the right move here? It's hard to know. I think Corey did the best that he could in the moment.
Yeah,
The,
thank you
the
for
right
speaking much more clearly than I probably could, Michelle. But no, I think look, I think you're right in the criticism of how I went about things. I think we've seen now in 2 seasons, if somebody yells at me, my first reaction is not to sit there and just politely take it and let them yell at me. So I definitely became defensive and yelled at Asaf when I probably shouldn't have. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but like the cameras, they didn't even get that fight initially. Like Asaf just started yelling at me, and then we literally weren't even filming, and they had to get the cameras to try to capture the moment because like we were getting on the bus, about to drive home to the house and whatever, and it just kind of naturally happened that way. And it is tough, but like Michelle said, like there was a reason. Like there's a web of people there. I knew I wasn't gonna say Jay, wasn't gonna say Emmanuel. I was working closely with him. I didn't want to say James because to me, James is very similar to me build wise. And if I'm in a final, someone like James being there with me is a higher chance of me winning than being there with somebody smaller like Horacio, for example. So for me, James was not someone I was gonna pitch because why would I do that? Also, somebody else might do that later. And then, I didn't want to say Callum, clearly. I wasn't going to say Kieran. I wanted to say Kieran, but I wasn't going to because of Raven. And then, like, who else is left at that point? Like, I don't really want to say Ed. Like, Ed and I are also met on Spies, Lies, and Allies. We also have a relationship. Um, so Asaf is the person that technically, yeah, he's in the Ride or Dies American Alliance, whatever. But I also just met him. And who else was going to be mad at me choosing Asaf other than Asaf? I just named a bunch of people who would have had people riding and dying for them if I said their names, and I guarantee it would have blown back on me harder. So, um, I don't know. Like, what was I? I was kind of in a very weird situation. I also didn't have a chance to pregame with my alliance because we didn't know that we were going to be put on the spot to say a name. I think in the future now, before a challenge, like groups probably going to talk to each other, like, oh, if you win, who are you going to pick, or who should we pick as a collective if one of us wins? And none of those pregame talks had a chance to happen before this. So I don't know. I did the best I could, but I am a very dramatic person. If you yell at me, I'm going to yell back. That's why they cast me. I'm fucking stupid sometimes. But it's like, I don't know. I'm not going to just sit there while somebody yells at me and especially if I feel like I'm being disrespected. So I definitely felt like I was being disrespected and I yelled back and it is what it is. He called me a bitch. I didn't call him a bitch. So like to say I attacked the man is kind of crazy because I didn't call him out of his name. But it is what it is.
I'm not saying you're stupid, and I'm not saying like politely take it. I'm just saying you're in front of everybody, you're fighting. He initiated the fight with you. Let him be the one that blows up. Let all the attention go on him because you're still playing a social game and you're still playing politically. And what I was saying before you came in is like, everybody's like friends with everybody. Everybody's trying to protect who their friends are hooking up with. Like, you have to have enemies because if you don't have enemies, you can't win. So to me,
Well,
it's
wait,
like
hey, well, guess
I'm
what?
not here for the babysitters club. I'm here
I
to
was
win
gonna
a game
say,
for money. So like you're gonna upset somebody. So like the alliances are just too big. You can only have like 5 or 6 people that you're gonna protect. You can't have like 10 or 12 and then everybody that those people are hooking up with. So I'm just gonna
well,
say, okay, I'm gonna look out
you
for
wait,
these 6, and
let
then
me,
if everybody else gets mad, then you get mad. I don't give a fuck. Vote me in,
no,
and if I lose, I'll go home. Like
okay, I hear
I'm
you.
a cutthroat person.
No,
That's just what I'm
okay,
saying. And I play a
okay.
cutthroat fucking game.
Well, but here's the thing. You said to make enemies. Guess what? I just made an enemy. There's a line in the sand now. I did it. I did what had to be done. And sure, I can't be everybody's best friend, which is why I told us off. I've known you for 2 weeks. I don't know you. It is what it is. I think we're saying the same things, but like you're just maybe not happy about the way I went about it. But
And
it's
and I
fine.
and I think and I
It
think we can all agree.
doesn't matter,
I
Corey. I'm
think
just some person on the internet giving
I
my
think
opinion. You're
I
on a
think
show.
one
I'm talking about it.
I think one thing that we can all agree on is that these massive, the spider webs, the big alliances are you're right, we're not in Babysitters Club. And it's like we're all trying to figure out how to navigate that as well because, the vets come in usually and they annihilate us. And they have this really strong unit. They've all played together before. The path has been paved by them. And it's easy to just target people and pick things off. But we don't know where that line is drawn. We don't know how to draw it. And we have worked one season together, 2 seasons together. Almost every single person on this cast has played together just once at most. And so, and most of us have gotten out before our fifth episode. So like, there's not really a whole hell of a lot to go on other than what Corey said when he was in deliberation, saying like, I've played a season with Berna. I've played a season with Emmanuel. I've played a season with Ed. I can't really say them because that's all that I really have to go on, And so we're trying to figure out how to navigate that Babysitters Club, that massive alliance. And now we're learning, okay, you know what? Maybe we do need some enemies. And sometimes it's easier for those enemies to kind of find you. Unfortunately, Corey found an enemy, today in this situation, but then you have somewhere to focus your attention on. But when you don't, then you're in the position of creating enemies. And that's also, not good. But it's tricky when we're all kumbaya kind of at this point because we've all been forced to work together as a unit prior to this elimination.
This kind of reminds me of like the old school. Like I remember when Fresh Meat came out, like it was fresh meat. Like everybody really was at the same situation, same scenarios you spoke of. Everybody worked together 1 or 2 seasons, one season maybe whatever, and got out really early. All these things, and a lot of vets came out of the Fresh Meat. If you go back and look at Fresh Meat and who are vets now, I think that I look at it like I don't want to say like baby, just like the training wheels are off. Like y'all go ahead. Like y'all some of y'all have not done a lot of this stuff, and just like I just feel like that a lot of it's gonna be experience. But I see beast in so many people here. It's just I want to see what the rest of the season is gonna give. I do feel like the way Corey's moving is a way of being strategic and just not giving a shit. I just think that what Sheena was saying, it was kind of the way it was done. But you're moving in the right direction where it's like I'm winning because I always feel like this in any kind of I always say this all the time, Big Brother challenge, I don't care what you're doing, whatever game, whatever. If you're gonna be an ass or be yourself, whatever you want to do, you win everything. Because it doesn't matter what anybody says about you. Like you're just winning. So you make all this says you have all the control. Period. That's all I
I'll
say.
try my best to keep winning, but it's so funny because I think when I look back at things, like I'm such a like I can call myself on my shit. Like I know I didn't respond well. Like I'm like Corey, why did you do this? But I just like when I'm in the moment, I can't or I don't do a good job at taking a step back and
I
like
get that.
letting
I get that.
myself breathe.
Work on that
Um,
for next season.
yeah, no, exactly. I'll work on that because I am 1000% aware that I can go from 0 to 100 extremely fast, and it's gonna bite me in the butt. I mean, it might bite me in the butt with the big T stuff too. I mean, you guys will see, but um, I don't know.
Have
I'm
some
not a
thoughts
perfect
on that,
person.
Corey.
Well, you haven't even seen it yet, so
The
I don't know
episode
how
came
many.
out.
No, what?
No, I
Not.
listened to the podcast though, Corey. I got some
Oh,
thoughts on what she said on the official challenge podcast.
I will say, um, one person's side of the story doesn't always mean that they're telling the truth. I will also say that um, I'm not the first person to lie on the challenge to someone if it was going to get me further in the game, and I'm not going to be the last. So, if someone is upset about my gameplay decisions, I think they should probably just play a better game next time, and then maybe don't let that happen because I've seen people steal $500,000 from people on this show before, and if I told somebody a little white lie, nah, whatever, fuck it, it is what I did, you know.
How do you guys deal
Can I
with
ask
the
you a
fact that
question,
like
Corey?
hold on, Sheena.
Okay.
How do y'all deal with the fact that like for instance you burn somebody, you win or whatever. And this is for Michelle and for Corey. And then, you get offline and it's much later and you guys see each other. Cause it's like, I know how like it goes as far as like the show is filmed and we'll see it November, maybe it was filmed month before and the emotions come back up. And it's like, Do you just block people? All of a sudden, it's like, oh, I forgot. Oh, I didn't know you said that shit. What? Blah blah. Blah. I mean, how do y'all, how do
I
y'all deal
think,
with that?
you know what? It's definitely a very interesting part of the game to navigate. I think that that's partially what's taking, earlier I mentioned I had been the challenge is taking its toll on me at this point. And what's interesting is, when I left 39, eventually, whatever, could be next episode, who the fuck knows at this point. But I feel like I was okay in that moment, but now I watch it all back and it brings it all up. There's no real, you're in the game, that's emotionally taxing. I was taxed on USA 2, I was taxed on 39. Then I go home. I have to watch USA 2 all back. It brings everything back to the surface. Now I'm back, even though I just filmed 39, my emotions are with 39. I'm all the way back into my emotional state on USA 2. And now I'm watching this. Now I have to relive all of it. So it is difficult. I think you just have to know, like me flipping out on Corey this episode, like me and Corey knew that this was going to go down. We kind of knew that our relationship had been strained, but we have a strong enough relationship to be like, you know what, we were emotional in the moment. We love each other. And at the core of it, like we say what we say in the heat of the moment. I know who you are. You know who I am. You know that our relationship is stronger than this fucking stupid bullshit. And I'll be on here all fucking day defending Corey if I have to. And I think that he's the same with me. So that
For
doesn't go for
sure.
everybody. Not every single relationship is that way, and not every single relationship's that strong. And you know what? Confessionals might come out that people are good right now, and it might take a strain. And we honestly don't know what was said behind closed doors. So we're learning about alliances that are secret that other people didn't know about. We're learning about vendettas that people had that we didn't realize that they had. And so obviously all of that comes to the surface, and that's what the reunion's for, I think.
Exactly, Corey. You have your response to the question, and then Sheena go after that.
Um, yeah, I actually, what was the main question? Sorry.
It was just, I was just like, no, no, I was just like,
Oh, I remember. Yeah,
okay, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah. You know what's funny? I struggled a lot this season uh with this right here. And I think what it comes down to is the people that I'm actually friends with. I'm friends with and they know me, and then there's the people that I played a game with who don't know me. And some people do get mad again online, and then there's the people who I actually talk to and we text and we voice note and we FaceTime or whatever. And those are the people that I care about. Everybody else is kind of just noise, and I think I'm getting better at separating out the noise. There's definitely people who like engagement farm on the internet. So they post things that they know their fans are going to resonate with and whatever. And it is what it is. But I do block people. I do. Like not everybody deserves access to me or, I don't need to see them on my Twitter, see them on Instagram, whatever. I'll see it if somebody sends it to me or I won't. Like I just kind of don't care anymore. I think after my first season, I cared a lot. I wanted people to like me, like other challengers that I would like try to be friends with them, even if I didn't really know them. And now I'm like, I don't really care. Like when I live my day to day life, I sit here and I play Magic the Gathering with my friends, and I do a bunch of nerdy shit, and I don't need to sit here and try to chase the challenge of my entire life. And so now I have a separation, and it's very easy to block people. It's very easy for me not to care if they want to come for me on the next season. Like, good luck. Try beating me, but that is what it is. Like, I don't know.
I'll tell you something. Corey with no braids is coming through like a beast. I'm like, when I saw the hair, I was like, I knew it was gonna be different. Corey, Sheena, go ahead, baby.
I love it.
Okay, so my question is for Corey. So, episode 1, you said Big T's name. So, I know the show is edited. So, is there something that happened that led to you saying her name, or she's just somebody that you're not close with and you picked her?
Yeah, that's actually a pretty easy question to answer. So I will also remind everybody here that the entire house was deliberating saying Big T's name. I don't know where the indication comes that Corey Lay is the person trying to make this happen. There were discussions between the women, between Big T and Melissa. I walked into a room where Kieran, James, and Ed were having a conversation, and they were already talking about Big T, and I sat down and joined that conversation. So, just putting things into perspective there. And then I will also say, we knew Big T and Melissa were very strong as a unit, and one of the toughest things is coming in with such a clear-cut, defined relationship, because they're very strong together. But if you get rid of one of them, they're a lot weaker. Um, I also know that between the people that I knew on my initial season, Spies, Lies, and Allies, so Emmanuel, Berna, and Michelle and I actually cultivated relationships outside of the show. We talk fairly often, even if it's just through, texting, WhatsApp, whatever. So I had relationships with them. Big T and I maybe talked 2 or 3 times over the course of a 2-year period between the 2 seasons that filmed. So I did not have a close relationship with her in terms of evaluating that against other people. And we knew it was a girls' day. And kind of like me deciding to say a soft is similar to the same reason why I might say Big T is who's really going to be mad if I say Big T's name? And Melissa will be mad. But who else is going to be mad? Um, who else would I have gone for at the time? Like, I didn't really care. Jessica and I actually talked. We were fine. Like, I didn't really feel like saying her name until she said it. But I don't know. I think the part that's also missing is if you listen to what I say in my confessional, I say Big T is smart and she's social, and I actually give her a lot of praise. And the reason why I wanted her gone that early is because I knew she had experience on how to navigate a game like this socially, which I don't have. And people who possess skills that I don't have in a competitive environment, I see as a threat. And so I saw her as potentially getting rid of early because I saw her as a credible threat. And, I think that's what's getting lost with some people is I genuinely looked at her as someone that has a really good chance at making it far socially. And she wasn't in my alliance on day one. I had a bunch of women I was working with, and she wasn't one of them. So I don't know. Hopefully that answers your question, but Corey Lay as a unit was not pushing for Big T. I have one confessional about it, but there's like 3 or 4 conversations in that episode of people deliberating on her name, and I'm not sure really why it narrowed in on me.
No, that does answer my question. Thank you for saying that. And wanting her out because you think she could make it far socially is a very valid reason for wanting her out, especially if you felt like that was a strength that you didn't have.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's very charismatic. She's very social, and she's very smart. And I just knew like she's a bigger threat the longer she is. And I like I said, like nothing about any of my decisions have been personal. People like to make them personal, but I mean, you'll see it throughout this game. I look at things very black and white. It's like, is this a game decision? Like, I'm not doing things 'cause I don't like people. I don't. There's very few people that I dislike in life, and it just sucks that things are getting bigger than it is. That's all that I'll say.
To me, it
You're
sounds
winning
like
me over a
after.
little bit, Corey. You're winning me over a little bit.
Well,
Well, I'm gonna.
look, I'm a bitch
Hold on,
sometimes, so I'll
Corey.
admit to that. But
Corey, I'm gonna say this. I feel like just sitting back, listening to the questions that even Sheena said and your responses, and even things that Michelle said. Because I know that being a blogger of reality TV, I know there's a lot of parts, and even she can say this. She's a content creator on Twitter that does reality TV. There's a lot of stuff that we don't see, as far as scenes, and so a lot of times the narrative is spun by production for the consumers. Whatever you guys will know the gray area because obviously you guys were there. So that's why I like to have these spaces and do the interviews that I do. Michelle knows this because I always know it's a bigger picture. Um, I don't know. It's pretty cool that you have said this because I really thought differently. I'm not gonna lie to myself about the Big T situation. I feel like with the whole both Big T and even with the ass off, I feel like it was a process of elimination for you. I feel like you weren't playing personal. You were actually playing the game. And if you've never been here, I know my spaces or my YouTube channel, one of the things I yell at the screen about, she knows this, I'll say, it's a fucking game you're playing. Everybody puts so much emotion inside that the game gets clouded to the point where it's all about personal. And I just like the way you're playing the game this season where it's like, you know, I, my bad. but I'm playing the game. You didn't win, I did. The end. Not saying you're gonna win every time, but in these scenarios, people are not liking everything. But a lot of it, I will say, because we haven't seen everything as well. So I just wanted to say that you won me over as well.
Yeah, and you know, I will say I appreciate like tough questions 'cause, I mean, we are on a TV show. I understand things are going to be, people are going to have feedback, whether it's good or bad. Like I totally get that, and I can admit that I've made mistakes. And I think the way I handle situations isn't the best, but I promise you there was a reason behind it, and that reason behind me doing something is probably not as bad as you think it is. Even like, and I'll go to the Zara example too. Like, I tried to flip the vote onto Zara, right? And I did that because Zara could beat me in a final. I know that. I'm not stupid. I think she could beat me. But the difference is, Zara came up to me and said, "You know what, Corey? You shot for me. I'm gonna shoot for you." She tried to shoot for me. We both missed our shots, and then we moved forward because we both realized it was about the game. But us as individuals, like I love Zara. She's fine. It's just in that moment I got power hungry because I'm stupid sometimes. And then I wanted to make a move, and I tried to make a move, and I failed. And then I wasn't mad at Zara for coming after me. It was what it was, and I think that is the way I look at this. If someone wants to make it personal with me, they can, but I'm not going to start there because I don't look at this that way. I think we're all people figuring out a game, and we're messy, but like I don't care. It is what it is.
100%, I agree. Oh my God, this has been an awesome space. Like I said, Corey, this is your first time being here. Michelle, she's a friend to the show. I say the show because I feel like I'm the talk show of reality TV on all social media. So if I say stuff like that, that's the way I look at myself because I'm the queen of that. Period. So I wanted to say, Corey, I appreciate you coming by. This is your first time being here. Thank you for following me. I did get to follow Michelle. Thank you because I know you coming through made magic happen tonight, and my co-host Sheena. I appreciate it. Miguel, Chef, did you guys have any final word before I end space today? And Sheena, I'm sorry.
Oh, hello. Um, yeah, I just also want to say like thank you for letting me speak, and thanks for answering my question about Nani. I know it was kind of like a silly question. Like I'm just trying to get my sister some allies for next season. I'm just kidding. But yeah, thanks for letting me speak. Have a good night, y'all. Oh yeah, and like I guess like another question. It's like pretty simple. Um, Michelle, you mentioned earlier that you guys didn't know that like champions were gonna come until Jordan did this episode tonight, and I was just wondering like since you guys kind of had like an idea that like champions were gonna start coming, was there any champions in particular for both you and Corey that you were expecting, weren't expecting, didn't want to see, like physical wise, or you just don't like them? Because
I
personally, like
so
when
Well,
I'm
we
sorry.
did kind of know that champs were coming in. We just didn't know when. I think in my mind it was during Conquest that they were going to come in, like conquer the champ to get to the end. I think that we were all trying to dissect these three layers. Obviously, there's a few champs that I may maybe have some beef with, aka Laurel. Definitely was, I'm not really trying to see Laurel out there. So yeah, I think
Real talk.
Shout out to Laurel.
shout out to
For
Laurel. Shout out to
no,
Laurel.
don't say it like that. Oh my
No, I'm just saying, I've been watching Laurel on TV a
God. Me
long
too.
time. I'm a big
I'm
Laurel
talking about
fan.
Michelle. No, she. I'm talking about Michelle. I'm
Oh,
talking about Michelle. Miguel, what you gotta say, baby?
Well, first off, obviously, hi to both of you. So, my only question is, well, now that we know about the champion aspects and the fact that if they do win an elimination, they do steal from your prize pot, was there ever like a consideration of like maybe we should send the strongest people down there, even though they might be some of your friends, like an Horacio or an Olivia? So, was there ever any conversation or like any thought process behind, oh, maybe we should put them in to save us our prize pot so that way we don't go to the
I'm
final with nothing?
Yeah, not gonna lie. I think that's what production wanted us to do. Um, but I'm thinking about the end game most of the time, and it's like, how do I make my chances easier? I kind of said it earlier, but like I saw the champs as weapons to get rid of my enemies that I could have a easier path to a final. And if I lose $10,000 from a champ coming in because of it, well, who cares? I either win the money or I don't. Like, I'll take what I get. But I'd rather get to a final thinking that I could actually win than have people standing next to me that I think could beat me. And my ego's not big enough to think that I can't be beaten. I definitely believe in myself that I can win. But I also recognize there are people here that run marathons. They do all these things that I don't do, and I don't want them there. So that was my perspective. There were some people who floated around the strong people idea, but then it's like, who are the strong people? If you're talking about Horacio and Olivia, they're in our major alliance with a lot of power. And if you say their names, we're going to get you out. So it's like people didn't really have an opportunity, I think, at least, unless they win, to really even take that shot. So I don't know, it's going to be difficult.
That being said, I do think that there is this layer that now we're seeing. So in the past, we were seeing burn votes and all of this stuff happen in the first person control, because here's the thing: you're voting somebody in, you're voting a strong player in or whatever, and then you have to worry about the person you vote in then calling you out. So we're navigating that portion of the game with that mindset of like, how do we vote people in without them being pissed off enough for them to then come for us? And now our mindset is shifted to, okay, we know they're going against a champ, so we can put a strong player in and potentially keep our money. That's a win. Or we lose that money and then we have a strong player out. So there's this sort of mindset shift that's going on, where in the beginning of the game, you think that the weak people are the weaker people. There's no real weak people on this season, but the weaker people are the ones who are at a threat, because you put a Raven in and she calls out somebody who she thinks she can beat. She's going to choose somebody who she thinks she can beat, which is weaker. Now we're playing in a game where a champ comes in. We're able to nominate the people who are going to go in. And so you probably nominate not the weakest person, because you want to run the final with the weakest person. So our mindset is now shifting, and now we're moving into a new layer of the game. And so, we'll see how that all plays out, I guess.
Yeah, I think you have a good point though, right? Because at this point, we didn't know how many champs were coming, and if we just sent in people and they just kept losing, like, I don't know how much money would be left. So that's what makes this all so hard and makes it so cool, is we actually have to weigh our options, and it's not just about the risk of the game, but it's the risk of the prize pot too. And when I tell you, yeah, the chaos is just chaotic as it is.
Which I do love it. I'm sorry. I do. Sheena, you got any final words, mama?
My final words are, Corey, I'm very glad that you came, because before I talked to you, I was like, what's going on? Why is he picking on Big T? But now you explained it, and it actually does make sense to me why you wanted her out. And that's what I was talking about, like being strategic and everything. And, just work on how you handle conflict for next season. But you're winning me over, Corey. You're winning me over.
I'll try my best to to do better next time around, but no promises. But I will try.
Okay, great.
Okay, once again, you guys have been a part of Spaces. I am the queen of Spaces myself, Cameshiareviews.
You're one of them.
Ma'am, if you don't let me get this out and shut the hell up. The queen of Spaces, Cameshiareviews, my partner in crime, that would be Sheena, aka Betty, aka who gets on my nerves. The queen of Spaces, I have done the challenge for years and have taken it on to Twitter Spaces and enjoy the conversation with the cast who come on here. And Michelle has been here before. I used to do it with Cinco. And so this season I did it by myself. And the fact that Michelle came in and Corey, which is first time, I hope you guys come back again, because I'm going to do this every week because the challenge, I love the show. And this season, to me, I'm excited because it's all like brand new to me as far as seeing you guys go through your trials and tribulations, taking the slings and arrows, so to speak. And it's just awesome. So I'm excited you guys came in, and hope that, like I said, you stop by if you have any time. And I appreciate you guys taking time out. Michelle, you got something to say, baby?
Oh, no, I couldn't mute myself earlier, so I just muted myself. But thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. Love chatting with you, Corey. Glad to chat, but I'll probably be texting you in 15 minutes anyways. But thank you. I know we've been trying to set up some time between me and you, so I'm glad I was able to hop on here. And I'll hop back in the spaces as as this season plays out. More things probably to discuss.
Oh my gosh.
Michelle, hold on, Michelle. This space is I love it, but you know good and well, I'm going to get an interview, ma'am. This is not an interview.
I
This
know,
is.
honey. I know. I know.
I'm
I
just.
know.
I'm
I'm
like, look,
on it. I'm on it. We're gonna set it up. We're gonna set it up. If we'll make it happen. I'll get a bottle of wine ready because I'm sure there's a lot to unpack.
No, Michelle, look, yeah, Michelle's not lying because last time she told me this, she came on my podcast. By the way, guys, if you're on the spaces, this whole conversation will be on my podcast, which will be on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, and all platforms. I think I'm number 6 Black woman that is the number 6 person podcaster of reality TV. So please make sure you go and follow podcast Cameshiareviews because I have all my reality TV content from YouTube and everything, including my Twitter Spaces on there. And this, if you want to hear yourself, will be on there probably tonight or tomorrow. So it is what it is. Again, guys, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you guys. Please make sure that you guys like, comment, subscribe. Check me out on YouTube because this will be on YouTube as well. And on my Instagram, Corey and Michelle. Well, Michelle follow me everywhere. Corey, please follow me on
Thank
IG.
you. Yes. Thanks for
Thank you,
having
babe.
me. It was
We'll
so
see you
fun.
soon. We'll see you soon. Mwah.
Have
Bye.
a good night.
All right, y'all. Bye.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.